Hey everyone, it's Will, GamerDad, with another video for you. So first off, I hope you had all a great New Year. I know that depending on the country and culture you're in, Happy New Year may fall on different days, but here in North America, of course, it does fall on January 1st, and so that was yesterday. As for GamerDad and his family, we didn't really do much, just kind of hiding out at home. Honestly, just it's been snowing, just kind of enjoying the weather as well as just family time. Now that being said, in today's video we're going to show the farming results of the last month or so on my account. Now if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So as usual with these kind of videos, I'd like to share my thoughts about what's the state of the game and kind of moving forward. So first of all, at the end of this video, I will show a couple of upgrades for some units that I've been saving up for, and some of them I actually had put off for some time. Now, I know there's different strategies in deciding who to upgrade, and I actually had an older video that decided and discussed those things, but in my case, I usually only upgrade or side grade units when I absolutely can't beat something, or if I really want to unlock some new mechanics that I don't have access to previously. So make sure when you do go to the end of the video and you see the units I upgraded, let me know in the comments below if those are the units you would have upgraded, if there are additional units you would have upgraded, or if you would have stand pat and not upgraded at all. Keep in mind that so far, I've been fortunate enough to be able to handle most of the new content without having to do any sort of side grading just yet. That being said, Battle Simulator is finally done, of course, and we're now waiting for the next phase of the game. I will say that it's actually pretty nice that they did decide to release some new content for us over the holidays, and it's challenging and time-consuming enough, but not so much that it detracts from having some holidays to kind of actually relax and do non-gaming stuff. I know that, whenever I do content, a lot of my times my family, gamer mom, as well as the kids, do have to be a little bit patient as I'm doing a lot of filming, and obviously even doing some play testing and just kind of grinding through content. So it's kind of nice over the holidays to really do a little bit less of that. Of course, always, as usual, we are grinding all our red and all our green keys. I've said this many times before, but make sure you also do buy maximum amounts of keys using the severest gems. There is only 5 gems per key, and if you think about the conversion rate as opposed to 20 Chronos stones per key, you're getting a lot of value out there. And once you get to the end game, to the point where you have 3 slots on any very hard dungeon and up to 5 slots or even 4 slots with the Garrelia or Underworld dungeons, you're getting a lot of insane value. Not only do you have the chance of course, getting a lot of chance scripts, which you keep on seeing as we go through this video, you also have the chance of getting all the treatises. And again, treatises are definitely RNG. There's like almost 50 AS units probably in the game, not including the ES units, which are difficult to kind of pinpoint the codexes or treatises you need. But it's just a matter of time. If you keep on grinding, hopefully RNG will treat you well and drop the right treatises. Even for myself in in-game, there's only a few units that I actually do want the treatises and codexes for. Obviously, some of the most powerful units that are available in the game currently are, and newest units are AS Hardy, which I don't have enough for. Obviously, the newest unit, ES Negi. There's also AS Kikyo. I also don't have AS Miyunfa. List goes on and on. There's a few other units I actually do have the treatises and chants for. I just have passed off on side grading or upgrading them just because I'm not sure if I'm going to be using them in any upcoming content. And like most people, you really want to budget these kind of things. Chant scripts are relatively difficult to get unless you are really at the end game, such as myself, where I don't need the units like in the very beginning and middle, especially for a lot of you newer players, and even for people in the mid end game. That is, you've finished all the story and you're starting to work through the side content, the optional boss and things like that. Chant scripts are usually extremely rare because you're constantly upgrading your roster in order to beat some of that content, right? Now that my account's a lot more mature, I mean, we're at 3 years, and as a day one player, I've had access to all the units for some time, the need to absolutely upgrade a unit to beat content is not nearly as high. I remember back in the day, I absolutely had to summon specifically for certain banners because I couldn't beat the content at the time. A good example would be back in the day when I did Myrus. I summoned on the normal style Myrus. This is way before everyone. And that was coincidentally at the time that Leviathan had been out for about a month. So I had finished fishing. At the time, the current meta for beating Leviathan, remember we had no Grastas, no zones, the amount of damage multipliers were really low, units were actually very hard to find, and we didn't even have powerful free units for Earth such as Violet, Velvet, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's only recently that we've really gotten a lot of those, May, for example. And so I actually summoned on Myrus specifically. She was kind of like a secondary healer, because at the time Mario was still the queen of heals, and Yuna, I never had Yuta, so I really needed someone to help beat someone weak to Earth and help bolster my team against Leviathan. And so I summoned that banner. Fortunately, got her. I think it took either one. I think I got it either 1 or 2 10 pulls, and away we went. Right. And so for you guys who are still, obviously in that phase, you're going to be summoning a lot more than someone like myself where I have enough units. And that's not anything wrong with it. It's actually just the state of the game, right? As you progress through the game, you'll need more units. I mean, the content gets harder and harder. I mean, power creep is a thing. And the newest content sometimes does require more powerful units. I do find that even at times, with a mature account, I would still like to have additional units for some more variety to really tackle some of the content in the game. For example, didn't have Aesthetically against some of the tougher optional bosses at one point, and the list goes on and on. I mean, that's just going to be how it is, and as long as you don't suffer from too much FOMO, and keep in mind that, again, everything is completely permanent in the game, minus the Chrono Cross, which is like 5 years, essentially permanent. You really can put off a lot of the content until you get the roster required for it. Even for the twins, and I know the twins are essentially punching bags now, but at the time, for those who have been following my channel that long, I was not able to beat the twins within the first week or two when it first came out. I believe for global, we essentially needed a specific team. You could either use Pierce was the easiest, and you need top units, like ones within the last 2 or 3 weeks. I think you could use Slash Zone. However, you also needed a Dunerith to run that because you just needed a healer for a fight like that. Blunt Zone, you need some pretty significant blunt units, and Magic Zone wasn't even available yet, so we didn't have access to that. Very tough stuff. So a couple months later, obviously the Tales of dropped. I was able to use Yuri and Crest to kind of bolster my Slash team and eventually beat the twins back then. Of course, lots of things have changed now, and everyone can 2-turn the twins, 3-turn the twins, given the roster and a lot of other YouTube videos who have experimented with those kind of team comps. Not to mention, of course, you have the Pichikas of the world essentially breaking the game to another level, just like the Melissas of the world. You have someone who can quad damage with the song, increasing double damage, and then of course you have the break at the end of turn 2 will be applied for the next turn. So it's really, things have really changed a lot. But that being said, hey, we are still all enjoying the game. A lot of new players and new faces has joined the game, and I'm actually really happy that the Chrono Cross collab has really made a name for Another Eden. I felt like Another Eden was really underrepresented for a lot of the gacha games. I mean, we have some of the biggest games out there, like I think there's like Final Fantasy, for example, Fate Grand Order. There's a few other ones, Epic 7. I mean, there's many more that we don't really need to cover. But yeah, there were a lot out there, and it's not that Another Eden was nearly as big as the other ones. I just felt that with the fact that it has so much connection to essentially as a spiritual successor to another to Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger, I felt more people should really have heard about it. And until the last month or 5 weeks, really didn't have that publicity, and now we finally do have it. Tons of eyes are watching this, and for someone who's been creating content for this game since the beginning, I'm extremely happy for WFS, extremely happy for the global community at large, even veterans. We want more people to join the game. It allows obviously more enjoyment of the game gets the name out there, but most importantly, WFS, who's running the game, will have more revenue. And if it has more revenue, guess what? This game can last longer. I mean, I know we're on 3 years global. I think Japan's what, four and change? I don't imagine a day that this game will end, although, you know, like most gacha games, it can end. Having more people on the game is less likely to have game end early, and I'm so extremely happy that I see a lot more people on it. We even see a lot of smaller people attempting their first YouTube videos, and if you're one of those, hey, by all means, you know, definitely give it a try. Create some content. I mean, it's fun. It's you know, side hobby, and if you're fortunate enough with a lot of luck, and you know, maybe you'll become, you know, one of the bigger YouTubers out there for Another Eden. Okay, so at this point in the video, I just want to interrupt my thoughts here, and we got to El Zion Promised Land, aka PCD finish, using the white gate key. Obvious pick here is going to be Cthulhu, because why not? We want to have a new Starry Sea zone, and like I said, in terms of prioritizing units, I really do want upgrading or side grading units that unlock unique abilities that none of my units currently have. I mean, like I said before, DPS, they come pretty often. Like, you can run with lesser DPS as long as you have pretty good offensive or defensive supports. But in terms of zone setting, hey, if you don't have a magic zone setter, for example, there really isn't another substitution, right? Same thing with, like, you know, Pierce zone, right? Now, of course, the game does give us a lot of free units, but still, if you want that super OP unit to put you over the top, there really isn't a substitution. Where, let's just be honest, if you don't have the top tier slash unit, you probably can substitute like a A tier instead of S tier, and you probably can get the job done, providing your zone setting and other supports can get you through. All right. So, just the last couple of thoughts as we approach the end of the video. Like I said before, a lot of these treatises and codexes you see, a lot of them are not useful, a lot of them are old, and that's just the nature of RNG. Don't be discouraged, because just keep on running things and things will eventually shine on you. The RNG gods will, you know, give you what you need. And to a lesser extent, if you get to the point where you have tons and tons of these extra treatises, don't forget that you can build VC Grastas for some of your older or mid-tier units, and it kind of reinvigorates them. Give it a little bit extra stats, giving them a little bit more powerful VC if you need them. And not that it's a big deal, but you know, an extra 5 power, an extra 10 power is actually can be quite significant in a big fight. Alright, so this is my final 5th T Maiden treatise. Obviously, I got the Cthulhu there. Big drop as of today. And guess what? We can walk in to the old lady and talk to her and give her the required treatises and chants in order to side grade ourselves a new blunt zone unit. So there we have it. AS Miunfa new style. So this is one of those units I've been saving for some time. Again, she allows me to have more mechanics because any extra zone setter is very useful. And finally, this is the point where I was going to ask you, who would you upgrade next? So in my case, I decided to go with AS Dunarith as well as AS Thililili. Now, I put off both of them for a little bit longer. I actually had the materials for some time. If you're wondering why not AS Dunarith, I was initially going to summon on Daisy, which is actually coming up in Global in the next few weeks. And she is paired with AS Dunarith. And I didn't want to side grade and then have to kind of get a dupe, which kind of wastes my 5 chants and 5 treatises. In the case of Thililili, she is a top tier DPS. Just didn't really side grade her because I didn't find a need, although I think she would bolster my fire and obviously shade teams quite dramatically. And so did both of those, putting off the AS Radica for now, and looking forward to making some 5-star reviews of these units over the next couple of weeks. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.